Good evening, good afternoon. I am Adventure Argonaut. This is the golden news. The news that's gonna bring you the blues as usual. Just first off, let's check my streams and then let's get to work. Alright, streams look fine. So then let's get to the news already. Yep, no, not that one. This one. So first, just American news, Trump news, and there's a new this. Hey, Agent Double Hertz, welcome, welcome. Okay, I probably have some sort of weird malware on my computer. I have to check that later. Some sort of whatever. I'll deal that with that. But so yeah, and there's another some sort of shooting at the White House just today. Um, all right. So another shooting at the White House. The American people have had enough of the Epstein Mossad war mongering baby eating regime. Even Caltech engineers are sacrificing their life to end it. People want the fall of the regime. So this is of course Syrian girls' interpretations about the motives of the shooter. I don't know much about it. Yeah. So what do you know about the Secret Service shooting at the White House? So yeah, it's just today happened a few hours ago, I guess. A Secret Service officer shot a man on Monday following an exchange. Okay, that's yesterday. Now it's Tuesday. I guess it's like still morning in America or something. But anyway, officer shot a man on Monday following an exchange of gunfire near White House that also injured a juvenile bystander. In a press conference, Secret Service Deputy Director Matthew Quinn said that around 3:30 p.m., plainclothes agents patrolling around the White House complex spotted a subject who appeared to have a weapon on him. Those agents contacted uniformed ones who tried to approach the alleged gunman, but Quinn said that the man tried to flee and opened fire at the agents, who returned fire. The man was hit by the exchange and was transported to a hospital. His condition was unknown as of early Tuesday. Also hit in the exchange was a bystander minor whom Quinn said did not sustain life-threatening injuries but is receiving treatment. Quinn said Washington, D.C. police would investigate shooting. So yeah, it's a week ago since the correspondence dinner shooting. Well, I, well that's one thing, but it's like so I don't know where Syrian girl got the Caltech engineer um, claim. Was it an engineer who was a shooter or alleged shooter? I don't know. Well, that's something that's fairly new still. So I doubt there's a lot of reliable information out there. But yeah, this is something that White House tweeted almost a week ago now. Two kings. So this is White House account, and there's of course King Charles of UK and Trump. It's like, is it just me? America is known for its democracy and being a republic and all that stuff, and they rejected monarchy, and now the White House itself is trying to make him out to be king. This like they already had the no kings protest, like the lefties, and those were of course inorganic and lame. But what are they trying to signal here? I guess it's not either it's serious, and I guess people should be concerned, or the White House account is not something to be taken seriously. And there's also this. So, revealed how the male traced Trump's family tree and found he is the king's cousin. So, well, Trump said, "Wow, that's nice. I wanted to live in Buckingham Palace. I'll talk to the king and queen about this in a few minutes." So, yeah, of course, I don't think it's talked about that much these days, but like, a decade or two ago, it was like, more gossip about this online, that how like almost all of the US presidents are related to like British royalty and stuff. Yeah. And then there's also this, so a picture of Trump holding a bee on his hand. So is it? I wonder if it's a photo up, or like is it genuine, something that happened? And it's just peacefully lying on his hand, and the beekeeper, and of course like bees are associated with royalty. I think like in ancient Egypt or something. And there's also this somebody posted. With the sudden focus on bees, is Trump telling us that they're captured captive now? So in Freemasonry, one of the most prominent modern uses, beehive is an emblem of industry in the Master's Mason degree. Teaching that Masons, like the bees, should work diligently for the betterment of the lodge and society without contention. It draws from ancient rules, including Egyptian ideas of an obedient people under a ruler, originally seen as a king, now understood as the queen bee. Some interpretations link it to the lodge itself as a hive of builders or an alchemical laboratory for spiritual transportation. Yeah, so it's weird stuff. And of course, they still want to build the ballroom. Where they, because of the shooting that happened last week. And DOJ charges former FBI Director James Comey with two felony counts, knowingly making a threat against the President of the United States and transmitting an interstate communication containing a threat to kill the President, each carrying a maximum of 10 years in prison. And I don't mind the idea of Comey being sent to prison, but like their charges seem BS. Okay, this is not about that, but yeah, Trump post cards unaware they mean you are losing. So yeah, I have all the cards, wild cards, and in that means you are losing. I guess because you're supposed to get rid of the cards, but I guess if you have like good cards like this, is uh, like it's easy to get rid of them, right? Whatever. So uncensored AI, referring to the Comey stuff. If you're gonna indict someone for a post that says 8647, you better be damn sure the entire purpose of the post was getting Trump killed. So yeah, this was what's his name? The Comey tweeted. So 86 of course means get rid of, and 47 is 47th president. And no, I don't think that it necessarily means to murderize somebody. It could also mean just to get rid of them, like fire them, or indict them, or impeach them. Kash Patel announces the indictment of former FBI Director Comey for allegedly threatening to kill President Trump based on his 8647 social media post. Patel says they investigated this case for 9 to 11 months. Interesting numbers here, 9/11. But yeah, this is like the biggest BS. Like, I guess it's sort of like to pretend like they're doing something for the base who actually wants to see the previous establishment or regime punished for their crimes, or Democrats or whatever. But like, I'm sure there'd be like actual crimes. 86 means get rid of, doesn't necessarily mean kill. And Trump is mentally defeated. Trump, I think Ukraine militarily they're defeated. They had 159 ships. Every ship is underwater. Every one of their planes has been shot down. He's completely mixed up Ukraine and Iran war. The guy's brain is cooked.
But which war do you think ends first? Um, That's an interesting question. Coming from you, that's very interesting. Which war would end first? I don't know. Maybe they're on a similar timetable. I think Ukraine, militarily, they're defeated. Okay, you wouldn't know that by reading the fake news, but militarily, look, their navy. So they had 159 ships. Every ship is right now underwater. Typically, that's pretty good. What do you think, Jared? I mean,
So, of course, people can misspeak, even though it doesn't mean they're completely, mentally gone. But it's at least doesn't sound good. Or maybe he means actually Ukraine that they're defeated. I don't know. So here, Trump claims 86 is a mob term to kill him. Well, I guess he would know about what mob says. They say 86 him, 8647 means kill President Trump. James Comey, who is a dirty cop, one of the worst, knows this full well. 86, 8 miles out, 6 feet down. Didn't he also lie to the FBI about this? I think so. Uh, And there's this I'm speechless, I'm without speech. So Trump said this anybody running for president or vice president should be forced to take a cognitive examination prior to entering the race. By doing so, we wouldn't be surprised at people like Barack Hussein Obama or Sleepy Slow Joe Biden getting elected. Our country would be a much better place. I took the exam 3 times during my 3 terms as president. So he says he had 3 terms as president. I aced it all 3 times, an achievement that, even on a single exam, according to doctors, has rarely been done before. So does this also mean that he's mentally in the decline, saying he had 3 terms, or is it some shadow president stuff? Because back when Biden became president, there were rumors or conspiracy theories or whatever you want to call it that no, it's actually Trump is the shadow president and he's secretly controlling uh, Biden from behind the scenes, like some QAnon kind of stuff or QAnon adjacent stuff. And I certainly thought it was BS back then, but now it's like because there isn't much difference between Biden and Trump's current term in how they handle business. So maybe there's something to that. Hey, Stolen Hellcat, welcome. Welcome to stream. Breaking news. Hellcat is here. Trump on the US Navy currently seizing ships in the Middle East. It's very profitable. We are like pirates. So, outlawed admitting and even bragging that the US is an international criminal organization.
and there was no response. Turn your ship around. Evacuate your engine room immediately. And you see all these guys running out of there. Now, they're 5 miles away, and one shot into the engine room blew up the engine room. The ship stopped. It's, they used tugboats, and then we landed on top of it. On top of everything else, we then land on top of it, and we took over the ship. We took over the cargo, took over the oil. It's a very profitable business. Who would have thought we were doing that? We're like pirates. We're sort of like pirates.
At least he's,
But we're not playing games because, for 47.
there's some honesty about it I can respect. And this is not AI. Trump actually said this. We don't lose wars. Sometimes we don't fight to win. We'll stay around the country for 15 years, just bomb the hell out of everybody, make everybody miserable. Nobody knows why we are there.
We don't lose wars. Sometimes we don't fight to win. We'll stay around the country for 15 years, just bomb the hell out of everybody, make everybody miserable. Nobody knows why we're there, the wars that never end.
Okay. Uh, I guess I would ask, like, what's the context? Like, when was this taken? Like, perhaps this was taken years ago when he's like criticizing the previous regime when applying running for office or something, or is he saying it's like now it's like this is what we do and it's a valid tactic? uh, okay, so this is the 86 Trump, so here's some different interpretations what 86 means. So Chomsky speakeasy So there are common theories on the origin of 86. During Prohibition, the bar Chumley's at 86 Bedford Street in New York would have bartenders 86 customers get them out the door when police approached. And rhyming slang, according to Merriam-Webster, it originated in 1930s from soda fountain slang as rhyming slang for nix, meaning to cancel or refuse something. They want to ban guns. Trump is a commie Jew. Yeah. Didn't he say years ago that, get rid of guns first and then, deal with the laws later or something, like during his first term, I think. But yeah, okay, there's, many interpretations, but like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily, like, of course, Comey might have meant that, but I'm sure there have been plenty of people online saying that, somebody should bang bang Mr. Orange Cheeto guy, but anyways. And CIA confirmed they weaponize weather to control the planet. CIA is openly admitting they weaponized the weather to dominate the entire world, and the smoking gun proof sits on their official government website right now for anyone brave enough to look. The official files, declassified notes info required Operation Popeye, U.S. military cloud seeded Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos to extend the monsoon season by 30 to 45 days straight as a weapon of war. The 54th uh, Veteran Reconnaissance Squadron carried it out. LBJ personally ordered it just 18 months after he gave a major speech bragging about controlling the weather. Project Storm Fury, running since 1956, designed to control hurricanes and weaken severe weather at will. And now 30 US states have already passed or proposed laws to ban weather modification. Why the sudden rush to outlaw it if it's all just conspiracy theory? They have been doing this for decades. They perfected it, they use it daily. He who controls the weather controls the world. LBJ, US President 1965. This is not sci fi, this is happening. Your floods, your droughts, your unprecedented storms are all tools in their arsenal. So share it before they scrub it. So there's some document. Not gonna read that, but again, I don't know, take a screenshot or something, pause it if you want later. Um, and Area 51 just lit up. 17 earthquakes in less than 24 hours.
Well, in the span of 24 hours, there.
Right after talk of UFO file releases, natural activity or activity on the ground, something doesn't add up. So, yeah, something seems to be up happening there. If this is true, that so many earthquakes, like, I know it doesn't necessarily mean it's aliens or something, but it's like, well, yeah, something's there, but but there is still a military base, even though if it doesn't mean there's freaking UFOs and aliens there. But that's that about Trump stuff for now. And let's see what's the next piece of news. Okay, it's more Epstein stuff, like a little bit of Epstein related news, few different stories relating to Epstein and stuff like that. We mustn't forget about Epstein and the files and the fact that, nobody's really been forced to pay for the crimes of this cartel. That's mostly, some say it's 89, like that his associates were like 89% Jewish or something. Our governor did the same thing with 45 in her office. Whitmer of Michigan, he won't be charged. Yeah, I call me. Yeah, it seems like BS. Like, it's sort of like they can act like we're doing something, but they're not actually doing. But anyways, let's see. So Norwegian national Edvard Juel Rød Larsen, who was named in the Epstein files, has committed suicide. Is it actually a suicide, or is it, somebody getting rid of him so he cannot talk? And here chat says Comey's daughter is suing the DOJ at the same time for DC criticizing her father. Look it up. Okay. I guess that, like, if I was Comey or his daughter, maybe it makes sense because it's like it's the dumbest thing to sue him. But like, I'm sure there would be actual crimes that they might actually sue him for or indict him for. Jeffrey Epstein lookalike Palm Beach Pete says he now has access to young children and is living his best life. How many people at my age get to hang out with young kids? That's that. Actually,
Of course, we have
how many people at my age, like, okay, he's 60, 70, I don't know. I think a lot in the past, people used to have grandkids and stuff, if that is the age. But yeah, okay, let's see what he says.
to ask you, are you Jeffrey Epstein?
I am not, but thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. I'm Palm Beach Pete, living my life. I'm retired. I'm 71 years old. How many people at my age get to hang out with young kids, influencers, and really enjoy the journey? So that's what's happening in my life right now, Katie.
Yeah, so Palm Beach
it's out
Pete, you
of
talked
control. I
about,
would have never.
you never would have thought this would happen, right?
Yeah, I'm not convinced that he is actually Epstein, but this clearly some sort of weird mockery or something. Like, I'm not quite sure what's going on, but something like that. And DOJ has deleted over 65,000 pages of Epstein files. America needs an uprising or something because this is absolutely monstrous. Yeah, but they're not gonna get one unless something changes drastically. But yeah, so just last week I saw somebody say, like, how the people obsessing about the Epstein files, like, that there was really nothing there, and why are they uh like, still harping on, like, harping on about the Epstein files. Like, so yeah, that's sorry, I was distracted by something, but yeah, so, like, they were criticizing people for caring about the Epstein files, but, like, if there's nothing there, why are they deleting them? Clearly there is something there. It's just that the authorities didn't do anything about it. But what's this? Gotta. Okay. Yeah. So let's see. Can I copy this? Copy current address. Can I? No. Let's see. Trying to. There's a link in the chat to, I guess, a picture of Comey's daughter. I presume, since you were talking about. So yeah, here it says 8645. Yeah, that's when I get presume Trump was the 45th president. So the Daily Wire has reportedly laid off a significant share of its employees amid financial difficulties and declining audience retention. So yeah, it's just, curiously, I put this in the same segment with the Epstein stuff. No actual relation though. But yeah, so yeah, some say that it's even like 60% of the staff of Daily Wire has been laid off, which is very unfortunate. But yeah, I don't think they're gonna go away. Like, somebody pointed out, maybe it's just, with AI or something, that maybe they don't need so much staff. But certainly, like, it's good that people are losing interest in the Daily Wire. That they don't. I guess Ben here doesn't hold as much credibility as he used to in the eyes of many. Ben Shapiro has lost 60,000 subscribers on YouTube in the past 90 days, continuing a sharp decline in viewership and subscribers since 2024. Yeah, that's good news. The Goyim are beginning to notice. So let's see, what is the next bit that we will look at? Next bit of news. It's some vaccine stuff. Like, it's not so much news, but since it was talked about recently, then it's somewhere like the FDA admitting that the safe and effective jabs killed a few children. All right. So the FDA now, let's go here first. Open yep, this one. FDA now fully admits the COVID-19 vaccines killed American children. Shit's about to hit the fan. So Foundering here says you underestimate the sheer apathy of the average human who are generally pathetic, retarded cowards. Harshly put, but I think it's quite accurate. So here, FDA claims 10 child deaths caused by COVID-19 vaccine vows to tighten vaccine approval. So this is from like 2025 already. Yeah, from last December. So this is in news. Like if this is the news, because I couldn't find any like more recent like info about this. But yeah, so according to the FDA 10 and the BMJ, I think this is some sort of scientific journal or something, or health science journal. So yeah, so 10 kids were killed by the COVID-19 vaccine, and safe and effective. Yeah, so I wish people would be more angry about this stuff, but it is clearly that like there have been many examples over the past few years. Just I think showcasing it that this democratic idea that we are fundamentally all the same, and you just need the access to certain information, then you will wake up and do something else. I don't think that's the case. I think it's only like there's the meme that only 3% of the US population fought in the US independence war. So like yeah, there's only like just assume, at least for the sake of the argument, that that was a good thing. Some people might disagree. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that, but that there's only small percentage of human beings that are actually, I don't know, willing to do something revolutionary to actually change things. And there's this. So, a father from the Pragmata Reddit shares a tear jerking story about his late daughter and how much the protagonist of the game Diana reminds him of her. So, from this story, Mackenzie has seizures and atrial tachycardia that developed into supraventricular tachycardia that caused her to pass out while playing. Despite her being flown into intensive care, she passed away at the hospital in her parents' arms. Yeah, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna read all that. But here, Foundering says that she was killed by the vaccines, right? So does it mean it's the COVID vax or just other vaccine? Because yeah, tachycardia, that sounds like it might be one symptom of the jabs. Not like 100% sure. I don't know where's Foundering's source on this. It's maybe he actually knows more about the details of this case, or maybe he's just guessing. But like, I don't think it sounds like a bad guess. Um, all right, but let's move on to other stuff then. What's this? All right, Japan. So about like Japanese birth rates, there's like some supposedly viral post on Japanese Twitter that like sort of highlights the reasons why the birth rates are falling and people are not having kids. So a Japanese parent's tweet just blew up on X. It pretty much sums up why Japan's birth rate keeps falling. The post: daycare costs me 80,000 yen a month, so 530 bucks. At a second kid, it jumps to 120,000 yen. A second kid, yeah, no thanks. The replies were brutal: work penalty plus parenting penalty. The more you earn, the more it hurts. How daycare actually works in Japan: fees scale with household income, not flat. High earners, so 9 million yen a year or more, around 60,000 USD, and can pay 80,000 yen per month per kid. Ages 0 to 2 are the priciest. 3 to 5 have been free since 2019. So why are these ages free, but these are so expensive? It's weird. The gap between cities can hit 1 million yen, so 6,500 USD per kid per year. And Tokyo made the first child free in September 2025. Almost no one else has. So your first child is free for the daycare, okay? A couple making 60 to 80 USD per year, 60 to 80K USD, whatever, already gets hammered by income tax, residence tax, social insurance, tack on 6,500 USD year per kid in daycare, and a lot of families just give up on the second one or pull back at work. Tokyo keeps calling the falling birth rate a national crisis. The system keeps making parenting feel like punishment for the people who work hardest. Top replied, just make daycare fees the same nationwide, please. So yeah, I wonder what's the solution for this. What's this? Gen Z prefers reading Mein Kampf to having sex. So just this guy with the mustache, like he had one kind of solution, like if you had one kid, you would get like 25% free of the mortgage, and if you had two kids, then it would be 50. Like basically, if you had four kids, you would get a house for free and stuff. Like just imagine like how evil the government was in the Germany back in those days. Like it was a government that actually encouraged you to have kids and try to make it easier for manage it financially. But now it's insane because it still haunts me that like something I read probably a few months ago that like back in the day uh people used to have kids like in the middle ages and whatever, they used to have kids to help with their farm work. But nowadays kids are considered a financial liability, but back then they would be free labor and all that stuff. Like how everything's changed. What's this? Why is this? Okay, I guess this has been deleted or something. Well, I can't see what it is then. It was something to do with Japan. So China has called the United States to lift its blockade against Cuba and said it will strongly support Cuba in defending its state sovereignty and security. Um, right. And then Bangladesh announced they plan to send Japan 6 million workers. 6 million Bangladeshis. How many people are there in Bangladesh? I guess those places have like a trillion people each, even though isn't Bangladesh pretty small island or something? Yeah. And so I guess the based Prime Minister Takaichi is probably welcoming them, of course. Based conservative, yeah, right? All right, but let's see the next stuff, next news. It's this one. So let's go to UK, and this is a like a disturbing story on several levels about, well, there's probably some other UK stuff here too, but it's mainly about like some, I don't know, it's a VTuber who used to draw some sort of lewd lolly pictures and who was arrested by the UK police. So VTuber arrested. British police arrested the popular VTuber. Is it popular? No. Had anybody heard about this person before? VTuber and illustrator Mimi Yanagi for possession of her own drawings. Mimi revealed that she was held in custody after being arrested in April 20th. Authorities confiscated all her devices, and she is now free on bail with extreme conditions. She cannot post adult content and must use name approved by the police. British laws are extremely harsh regarding possession of certain types of illustrations that authorities classify as restricted material, even if they are completely fictional. There's going to be, new information that sort of flips some things around. So yeah, important breaking news. Artists are now getting arrested by UK police. Mimi was arrested by UK police for possession of her artwork. So good afternoon, Bon Bon. Sincere apologies for the absence. Mimi has a long story to tell. On Monday, April 20th, Mimi was arrested by the UK police for possession of her artwork and her artwork alone. She's currently on bail pending the outcome of a criminal investigation into her accounts and activities. All of her devices were seized as a result of the arrest. As a result of her bail conditions, Mimi has to move to a new account and is required to use a header name on her new account that her bail officers have agreed to. Yeah, blah blah blah. Okay, that other stuff doesn't really matter so much. So, UK-based VTuber and artist Mimi Amagi was arrested. So drawings were 100% fictional, made by her with no real people involved. UK law still treats these kinds of drawings as illegal child pornography. Police took all her computers and devices. She has now been released on bail, but she is not allowed to post any adult content. She must use an account name approved by the police. The UK is lost. You can't even draw now, and they will put you in prison. So yeah, rapists and rape gangs roam free while a YouTuber gets their life ruined over artwork that didn't harm anyone. People cheer about this. Very blackpilling. And this guy, the Ursign, says, "Yes, I hate lolicons. I hate the government far more, though. The people who are cheering for this are clearly blinded by their hatred of lolicons to realize that the government having the right to arrest people over fictional drawings, no matter how gross, is concerning." Um, So I was getting these questions a lot regarding Mimi's arrest, and with her permission, I have the bail bond right here. Sadly, yes, gamers, she was arrested for her commissions, has been treated like she did something to a real kid. So, bail bond revealed by her friend. So yeah, the UK is actually thinking drawings are living, breathing humans. It would also remind everyone that the UK is actively allowing rape gangs to roam free in their country. So, but then there's this I retire my defenses towards Mimi Yanagi, who turns out wasn't even a woman, but a man going by Jordan who did some heinous fucking shit. While I lost the UK government for arresting people over fiction, they should have arrested Jordan anyway for the other shit he did. One of the worst drawings which Jordan had on his account had the exact phrases: "Thanks to you, the illegal child porn industry is coming back to life. You turned an innocent child like me into a pregnant woman." And "I love your pedo adult's big cock and testicles so much." That wasn't the worst, and she also follows an account dedicated to drawing babies being raped and favorited on one of the images. This is in no way hyperbole. Still, a lot of people would defend this content as it's just drawings with no real children are involved. However, one of the artists which Jordan followed had drawings which was of a real child actress. Stephanie is the name of a character from the children's show Lazy Town. She was acted by two different actresses, both being underage when playing her role. Okay. Well, I'm not going to read all of that, but yeah, so it's like I think the most disturbing part about this is like perhaps the UK government did something good, even though like it's still like should remind that whatever bad things this Mimi Jordan whatever did is that it's still, if it's just drawing very distasteful pictures, it's still lesser crime, at least to any reasonable person, than what all the rape gangs and stuff that the UK government has been protecting for years. Or I don't know whether they're still protecting them or not, but well, the government, they were. Jimmy Savile was friends with the royal family, so it's not simply the Asians, as the British like to call them, but the Asian immigrants and the establishment. Both are, the same kind of people as this one. So, that it's sort of like, if you fire a machine gun into a crowd of 100 people, and you hit a bunch of them, and two of the people you hit, they are, rapists and murderers and stuff. Like, yeah, you killed the rapist and the murderer, but you probably also hit some innocent people as well. So Mimi Yanagi, VTuber, draw anime girls on the tablet. Her legal team says prosecutors are pushing for the 1978 Act 10-year maximum for files that started as a blank canvas for characters that have never existed, for a victim that does not and cannot exist. Meanwhile, in the same UK courts, Rotherham grooming gang member 14 real victims served 4 years out of unlicensed council housing. Man caught with footage of actual child suspended sentence for the same week. Repeat domestic abuser, restraining order, breached twice, fined £200. Migrant arrested for assault, released pending trial, never showed up, case dropped. A man who hurt a real child got a fine. A girl who drew an imaginary one is facing a decade. Well, it's a guy, but I guess shouldn't really matter in that context. This is country picking the softest target in the room and calling it law enforcement. If a drawing gets a decade, what's the next medium they come for? Books, games, AI prompts. Maybe it should be time to, put all of them in an oubliette, like this Mimi Yanagi and these criminals, and also like the government that's protecting them. So UK, a popular female VTuber who was arrested for possessing prohibited images of children has been exposed as a trans-identified male. Mimi Yanagi, whose birth name is Jordan Williams, showed an interest in an artwork of infants being raped. Like, you know, personally, like I also dislike the idea of penal. Like I think sickos like this, certainly they should be, I don't know, ostracized by society and in some sense. But like part of me is like, okay, if it's just an illustration of something, is maybe they shouldn't go to jail. But it's like maybe I'm wrong. But of course, there's the slippery slope. If you arrest them for this, then maybe the next one will be just for showing I don't know, anime girl in a school costume or something. But yeah, I don't know. Like this whole you know fucking YouTube UK, because they're like, I would argue that the current UK establishment is the most dystopian political regime ever in history, and if they're doing something that's good, that's puts my head on a loop or something. And there's this isn't the same case, I believe. It's just from Reddit, so who knows whether this is a LARP or not. My wife has just been arrested for chibi style art she drew in 2011. She wasn't even in the UK when she drew or sold it. Wife is American. From 2008 to 2011, she drew and sold chibi style art. Think small cute characters. These were drawn and sold in the USA, and they were protected under the First Amendment. Wife moved to the UK in 2012. We got married in 2015. Police arrested her today and have seized all electronic devices in our home. I'm currently writing from my parents' house. The grounds for arrest was under the Coroners and Justice Act of 2009. She's been in police station for almost 12 hours now. I haven't heard a word, and the police won't tell me anything when I call. She never drew or sold any while she was in the UK. Is there anything I can do at this point? It's like, of course, there's many questions to be asked, like clarifications. But like one thing, like this guy never says that the chibi style art wasn't lewd in any way. Like perhaps it was, and still, like, even if it was lewd and it was only sold in America, it sounds BS. But it's like it's possible that something is being left out here that might be relevant to the case, if it's even an actual case. So UK has 49k stabbings per year. Media politicians silence. So this is another story from UK. Known mentally ill man stabs two Jews. Media: Iran-linked terror attack. Politicians: this is national emergency. Clown world. So man charged with attempted murder after two Jewish men stabbed in London. Man has been charged with attempted murder after two Jewish men were stabbed in London in what police described as a terrorist incident. Two men aged 76 and 34 were stabbed in Golders Green, North London on Wednesday. On Friday morning, Essa Suleiman was charged with 2 counts of attempted murder and 1 count of possession of a bladed article in a public place in relation to the attack. So were the guys even killed? The 34-year-old has been released while the 76-year-old remains in a stable condition, so they didn't even die. Poor melee skills on this guy. Yeah, of course, some people matter more than others as victims. So no one is talking about the Iranian man getting stabbed this week. A Jew's life has more value in the UK than the life of 1,000 non-Jews, and a Muslim life has no value at all. Well, I disagree with that. If you're the right kind of Muslim who, you know, lives in Rotherham and traffics children, then he has value. So, British Iranian man stabbed by Zionist Pahlavi supporters in central London. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that before. Well, there's so many stabbings there. So, UK PM Keir Starmer's wife and children are Jewish and he doesn't want to talk about it. What are the chances?
Prime Minister, I'm going to be blunt. Your wife hails from a Jewish family. Like many British Jews, does she and your children, do they fear living in this country?
Well, if you'll forgive me, I don't want to personalise it to my family. What I will say is that I'm acutely aware of the anxiety and concern.
I think that the journalist is quite smart. I think his point is to point out, yeah, your wife is Jewish basically, and without some, because he would be arrested probably if he said it like in a more blunt manner or something. But yeah, I don't know who the journalist is. And then we go to Brazil. It's similar kind of news. So in Brazil, a 48-year-old ice cream vendor abducted a 1-year-old baby girl from a floating boat where her mother had put her to sleep. He raped the toddler, murdered her, and dumped her tiny, defenseless body in the river. When the horrific news spread, hundreds of outraged locals, including the baby's mother, stormed the police station holding the suspect. They dragged the rapist out, beat him, doused with gasoline, and burned him alive in the street. All captured live on social media. So yeah, and I said like if it happened in America, the the rapist would either be sent to Israel to live in exile in peace, or he would be elected to Congress. So I think Brazil has some good ideas about how to handle these matters. Let's see. The next story is this one. To post them. So it's Israel delenda est. Israel has to be destroyed. So let's open the URLs. Gonna go get myself some water for my tea. Be right back. All right. Let's see. We have a few different well, various kinds of stories relating to Israel and friends. So Israeli PM Netanyahu is facing critical health condition. He has blood cancer diagnosed yesterday. So sad. Kentucky statesman says Netanyahu has been dead for months. This is just a way to phase him out without admitting he was killed in an Iranian airstrike. There's a good possibility he's correct. I don't have any insider info on the matter, but it seems like there's a good chance because already there were lots of AI videos of him showing up, and people were speculating he was dead. So that's very much a possibility. And also, yeah, since the rumor appeared that Netanyahu is dead, he has not made any foreign visits. All meetings since March have been held only locally or are not broadcast live. Since March, they have also published a number of old videos as well as ones that show strong signs of AI. Yeah. Okay. Massive US airlift this morning to Gulf, strong indicator of attack on Iran likely imminent. And PaxTube says, here we see how important every European country is for the Zog's power projection. If a united front against Zog formed in Europe, Israel would be over. What warrants further study is why so many European countries go along with this despite the lack of benefits for themselves. Well, of course, because the politicians are blackmailed and controlled in similar ways as in America. But alas, it's also the people who allow this to happen. Like they might grumble about, Islamic immigration, but don't really look beyond or do much about it, which is unfortunate. This is, I'm not actually that surprised about this news, but maybe that is so like blatant. But anyway, so Lucas Gage, a far-right influencer who left the JQ movement, disavowed anti-Semitism and is building bridges with the Jewish community. Yeah, Lucas Gage. So I first heard about Lucas Gage like 10 years ago or so. He was a guest on Red Eyes Creations. So yeah, back then it was called Red Eyes Creations. I haven't watched them in years, so I don't know what they really do nowadays. But yeah, he was complaining about Jew chasers, and basically like people just say Jew, 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 and there's an argument to be made. It can get boring, but also like like it's boring to repeat something. Like I always say, Israel Dylan dies. Israel has to be destroyed, and I get a bit bored with it, but I have to stick with it until it's true. He had AI write his book. Really, I didn't know that. But like, there is like one. Uh, I think like I don't recall what his exact argument was about, complaining about Jew chasers, but there's one like argument that could be made that it's easy to simply to blame them for subversive stuff, but also like you also have to do internal reflection on uh, Europeans or white people or whatever, that we allow them to do this. Like, why aren't we, why haven't we stopped them? Didn't we do it decades ago? Yeah, he's a moron, and he's also apparently he was some sort of plant from the get go. So anyway, in an era when public figures rarely admit error, pivot from entrenched ideologies, Lucas Gage stands out as a compelling example of personal evolution. Once a prominent far-right influencer deeply embedded in the JQ podcast scene, the United States Marine Corps veteran has undergone a remarkable transformation. Yeah, I'm not going to read all that. But I do recall there was a Jake Shield says, soon Lucas Gage will go on CNN and discuss the evils of anti-Semitism, probably. Like I remember there was some sort of spat between Jake Shields and Lucas Gage a few months ago, and I wasn't in the room. I don't know all the what started it, but certainly Jake Shields is vindicated now that it's anybody who has pattern recognition abilities notices certain it's not the Koreans or the Nigerians who seem to control a lot of finance and media and all that stuff. They are not the ones pushing for mass immigration, whether to Europe or United States or Japan or anything. It's there's certain ethnicity behind it, and it's you cannot simply realize like, oops, I was wrong. Like perhaps you can change your viewpoint on it in some manner. Like perhaps like uh, like I said, like perhaps instead of blaming them, we should see like what's wrong with us, that we allow this to happen. Like who lets a parasite live in your dog for decades without getting him giving some anti-parasitic medicine or something. Like in that sense, yeah, you can look at it from different angles, but it's like objectively observable facts that you just cannot look. Oh, I changed my mind. Like no. Mujar announcement from Tim Pool. Timcast is rebranding Israelcast IRL. So I guess this is a joke, but like hasn't been Israelcast for a long time already. Was this Chabad Lubavitch rabbi and U.S. Anti-Semitism League says the DOJ will hunt Americans down and starve them out of jobs if they commit anti-Semitic crimes. So neither can Catgirl Kulak here says neither can leave whilst the other survives. These are the terms. If you don't go full anti-Semite and win total victory, they will hunt you and your children down. They held a grudge against Titus for 2,000 years. They will come for your kids. They'll Epstein your granddaughter. Yeah, hard to argue with that logic. Starmer has announced an extra £25 million increase in security funding for Jewish communities in the country. I wonder why. What did we just learn about his family? Protesters took over city to demand Macron regime to call out Israeli kidnapping of French civilians at sea. So yeah, big protest in France. People always praise the French that they're good at protesting, but they also used to be good at revolutions. Maybe they should bring back that skill as well. Like sort of put few more extra points into that skill. And Congressman Randy Fine says this. This is the highest irony ever. Armenians should not serve in Congress, neither should Somalis or Guatemalans, or wait for it, Israelis. If you're a citizen of a foreign country, you shouldn't serve in ours. We need to pass my bill to stop the invasion of dual citizens in Congress now. So Ian Malcolm here points out dual citizens in Congress, like Jews like you, demonstrably fat genocidal Jew. The hypocrisy is astonishing. Then again, you're a Jew, a fat psychopathic Jew. Okay, so he said Randy Fine posted this a few years ago. Kill them all, no mercy bombs, a way of talking about Palestine. There is no suffering adequate for these animals. May the streets of Gaza overflow with blood. Gaza must be destroyed. So I guess he's not a dual citizen technically, but to all extent and purposes he is. Well, no, that's not accurate, because he's not really even like a citizen of America, like de facto. He's a citizen of Israel, just living in America for some reason and in the government. And Asmongold exposes Dan Bilzerian to his audience. Dan Bilzerian is a scammer. Dan Bilzerian, who is running against Ray Fine, coincidentally. So he's a scammer. His whole mindset is being rich poker player. I don't think it happened. His dad was a scammer. I think he's too. He's a bad actor. He's an opportunist. You shouldn't look at someone like that as an ally. They only are your ally to the extent they can grift of you. They don't care about you, just where they want to go. Okay, it's possible is true about this, but the same would apply pretty much to anything. Anybody nowadays, whether it's in politics or in any kind of e-celebrities or something. But still, I do think that Bill Cherian is actually trying to loosen the grip of Israel and America. Whether he's gonna be at all successful or not, I don't know. So Randy Fine is to be investigated just as for SPLC for paying fake Nazis GTV not like him and pass HB 269 in Israel. But Randy is Chabad. Yeah, I guess. All right, let's see. So in the next part, and yeah, here, because the reason, of course, Randy Fine is against these dual citizens is because Dan Bilzerian is a triple citizen. Israel first Fine claims I'm a dual citizen, which is true. I have 3 passports, and I'm happy to give up my Saint Kitts and Armenian when elected. Saint Kitts was some island in like the pirate area, Caribbean. It's like, what's that place called? Anyway, any Jew can get Israeli citizenship the same day and flee to Israel after raping kids. That's a real threat and it needs to be stopped. Yeah. So it seems reasonable response from him. And of course, because of the shooting, here is Nigel. We need action now. The Jewish community needs security and cannot be allowed to suffer any longer. So the Jews. What about the British native men, women, and children? Fucking traitor. Yes, he's obvious who his paymaster is. Fishback is the same way. None of these people are to be trusted. They are riding the anti-Israel grift. So are you saying that Dan Bilzerian shouldn't be trusted? Is that your position? Because like, because if I were, was it in Florida, the state, I would probably vote for him, but I wouldn't hold my breath that he's actually going to fix things. But like, but yeah, I don't think that, voting is simply going to fix things. You have to go a bit beyond that. So ICE HSI and the U.S. Marshals arrested Yeshiel Yehoshua Farkash. That's an easy name to say, sure. A foreign fugitive from Israel who was wanted in his home nation for alleged sex crimes against children. Our team arrested him and his home in Lakewood, New Jersey. The ICE Atlantic City will coordinate with ICE in Newark Victim Assistance Program to conduct additional interviews and identify the possible victims related to the case. System is trash and needs the Declaration of Independence is routed out. Yeah, I guess. Like I think like pretty much all countries need some sort of revolution or reform or something. Of course, there's always the chance that it would make things even worse, but I think the risk has to be taken. But anyway, people are pointing out that at like, oh, they arrested an Israeli. I thought U.S. was controlled by Israelis, but here it says that he's wanted for sex crimes in Israel, so that's why he's arrested. If so he did something about maybe he diddled the wrong kid in Israel, so that's why he's arrested, and maybe they won't be lenient, or they're just gonna send him to Israel and he's gonna be free there. Somalia has announced that it has banned all Israeli ships from passing through the Bab el Mandeb, so it's here because Strait of Hormuz is up here, so this is Bab el Mandeb Strait. Now it's next to Africa and between Africa and the Arabian Peninsula. Talmud allows sex crimes, yeah, even with 3-year-old babies or something. Harrison Smith says it's insane how easy it would be to fix 99.9% of the problems in America. I think that number is a bit high, maybe like 98%, but close enough. A benevolent dictator would solve most things within 2 or 3 weeks. Within a year, we'd be living in a paradise. Yeah, it's interesting. I remember when I was like 13 years old or something, and I didn't really care much about politics, but I sort of thought at some point, like, I think the ideal government would be a beneficial, benevolent dictator. And it's like now people are sort of coming to what I was thinking as a young teenager. A new U.S. mobile network called Radiant Mobile is launching, specifically marketed to Christians. It operates on a T-Mobile 5G network and uses advanced filtering technology to block pornography at the carrier level, a feature that cannot be disabled. Okay. And V here points out they're working with a lot, an Israeli-based company, just saying. So it also filters content related gender and sexuality by default, though adults can adjust the setting. Plans start around $30 per month for unlimited service, with a portion of fees donated to customers' chosen church. Service aims to provide faith-focused environment free from porn and certain cultural content, according to its founders. I wonder if there's gonna be other, cultural content that's gonna be criticizing Israel. Is that gonna be censored too? And Adolf is trending in Germany. I mean, unexplained spikes in history teachers' blood pressure. I wonder why, but interesting if that was the case. What were they talking about? But let's then go to the last section to gaming and entertainment and IT crap. So let's open a few tabs here. Well, this isn't technically gaming or entertainment, but I just ended up putting this here. So Uatsdin, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, also called Atsakdin or Asianism, is usually described as a polytheism based on the text of the Nart epic. Never heard of that either. Collection of tales about the Nart heroes considered ancestors of our Ossetians. So how Ossetian Uatsdin became the most successful pagan faith in the world. So no idea about this faith, or is it, I don't know, genuine, or is it some sort of, I don't know, weird cult controlled by some agency, or what's actually going on there. But I just thought it was interesting. Oh yeah, this is also a bit in the wrong place. Whatever. Ukraine has begun using children to produce military equipment near the front lines. The children are in an underground bunker near the front, producing drone nettings to protect supply routes. This is disgraceful. Okay, whatever. But now let's go to. Well, this is. Then you probably heard about the stupid test, like that Mr. Beast tweeted about the red and blue button. I already made last weekend made a stream about that, a short one, but I want to talk about it a bit more. But there's also this thing. So actually, I was actually right. The IQ is going down for the first time in centuries. For your parents, grandparents, and each generation IQ raised. Actually, half of you are probably millennials, so you're safe. Rip Gen Alpha, praying for them because Gen Z childhood early internet was still in its prime. They were born in to skibbity like you're cooked. We need to say they're all gonna die. I think it's interesting just because of this. So anyway, this is the test. So I'll try not to repeat too much of what I said in the previous stream, but I still, there are some aspects I found interesting, even though I despised this test or quandary or whatever itself, because when I saw this, you can see I haven't voted or anything here because I thought it was stupid and I wanted to ignore it, but everybody was talking about it online, and it's like, okay, let's look into like what is it all about. So anyway, everyone on Earth takes a private vote by pressing the red or blue button. If more than 50% of people press the blue button, everyone survives. If less than 50% of people press the blue button, only people who press the red button survive. Which button would you press? Be honest. So let's see. I have some notes here. So Um, a bunch of people said that this is a test about like for suicidal empathy, like because we see here that blue has won with 56%, and so nobody would die. And a bunch of people argue that the reds argue that it's a rational choice because there's no chance you will die. But I disagree. Like, if we are forced to, I wouldn't want to participate in this, because my first question would be like, who is forcing this sadistic test on us anyways? Like, how can we resist them? But let's say, like, they're so super powerful aliens that just force us to press a button or we will die anyway. So I guess we have to press a button. Um, so I would say that the blue button is better, because this says that everybody has to take a private vote. So that includes small children, small children who has no idea. Like, if you try explain this to them, they wouldn't understand anyways. Like, even children that cannot understand any language yet, they have to press a button. So they would press randomly, and statistically, about half of the kids would be pressing, small kids would be pressing blue. Uh, so that's why I think it's the boomer option to press red then, because then you'd be dooming the children to save yourself. But a bunch of red people, they see it as a test of logic. And if you just look at it that way, like, would you survive this test? Then yeah, of course, there's zero chance of dying if you press the red button. But I think it's not about that, because it says everyone, and a lot of people, they seem to assume that children are excluded, but nowhere does it say that. But despite that, like, a lot of these people, uh, they seem to, like, because it suits their mindset, because they can make feel like they are smart, like, hey, I solved the test, I pressed the red button. So they ignore what the test actually says, and it says that everybody has to do it. And I think that's like I think it demonstrates how difficult communication is. Like, even it's fairly, like, of course there's lots of assumptions to be done here, like who forces this, and what happens if you say no. Like, what if I say I don't want to press either button, and somebody actually claimed that, because when I said that I wouldn't press either button, then you pick red. But no, there's a difference. There's difference between non-consenting and also um, between not contributing or not contributing to the possible death of the blues. Um, where was I? So yes, but yeah, it's like it's very difficult to communicate with people, because, like, everybody has their head canon of what this says. And to be sure, I think this test is stupid, and there are many details that are unclear that should be clarified. But if this is all we have about the test, then it says that children are not excluded. And but a lot of people, they I've seen, like, lots of reds brag about it online, and I don't hold it against you. If you took the test and you spent, like, 10 seconds thinking about it, and then you said, like, okay, if I press red, I survive. I don't think you're a bad person. But there are a bunch of people. We have an example of here, Chernovich, who said that this is supposed to be some game theory morality test. If you push blue, you're such a good person. Only bad people push red. Nonsense. This is an IQ test. I'm not putting my life in the hands of dysgenic freaks. If you're not smart enough to push red, see you later. See, like, these people are turning this into some sort of IQ test, or almost like a political like a political ideology or something. Like, we are the chosen ones because we know how to press red, but you others are stupid. And well, that's not how it is, because if this whole stupid test is real, then we are, like, the fate of millions of children are at stake here. So at least, like, perhaps you will still choose red, but at least you should think about it, but these people don't want to think about it because it's all about their ego and all of that stuff. And yeah, I don't think they're capable of perceiving objective reality. And when you take the same attitude they have about this test, that they don't just see what it says and take it verbatim, and instead they come up with all these interpretations that are not here, like exegesis, like that's the word they use for Bible, like stuff that you can sort of extract from Bible. You can assume perhaps the Bible meant this, but even though it doesn't explicitly state it or something. Um, like one argument I saw that is that voting, like, because it says vote, and voting is usually for adults only, so therefore children are excluded. But it's like, okay, voting for government and stuff, voting for your politicians, yeah, that's usually for adults, but this isn't a government vote or anything. It doesn't, like, children do sometimes vote at school for whatever activities and stuff like that. Once again, that's just something, that's the head canon of somebody. And another is that the Reds, they present themselves as the rational ones. And like one, I saw somebody said that somebody said that they chose red because there's zero chance of death when it comes uh, to the red button. And I guess that's true. However, like, I don't think they're being rational, because I assume they still go out, like they go out to the streets and they shower, and there's a statistical possibility of them dying when they go out to the street, of getting hit by a car or diversity, or when they go to the shower, that they will slip and fall and die. And I presume they, or maybe they don't. Maybe they're these terminally online people who don't do any of that. But anyway, so like I think it's just very difficult, like this kind of mindset that people only see what that suits their worldview and all that stuff. Like they have this artificial construct in their head that they protect it, like in a religiously protected, instead of seeing what the objective reality, or at least attempting to see what the objective reality, because it's impossible to see the whole objective reality of this statement, since it is still there's lots of stuff implied but not explicitly stated. um, but like, yeah, when you take people like that, and how they view politics, and of course they will, like, they will believe, like, if they support the current government, they will like rationalize what the government does, even though on surface it sounds bad, but like they're gonna make it so that in their minds they will rationalize it, like, no, they have good reason for it or something, like we've seen with Trump basically turning around. I'm just preparing other stuff here for next next tabs and stuff. So yeah, they will rationalize, like, they will say they would never do that, like if you suggest that maybe 9/11 was an inside job or something, like, no, they would never do that, like how would you know, like it doesn't fit your scheme of how the government acts, but like, have you actually checked whether that's true, or like, that's also this kind of mindset leads to Americans supporting Israel, because like, well, in the Bible it says Israel is good, and this country's name is Israel, so it must be the same thing, right? So yeah, that's so that's like the interesting part about this test. I think it exposes, like, there's so many people, and there'll be like hundreds of people I've seen on Twitter praise about how they are so smart because they would choose red. But it's like, my solution would be to reject either of them, because I think that this test is simply silly. But let's move on to other news stuff here. Open some tabs. come on. So Alex Jones officially shuts down Infowars after 27 years on air because of the lawsuit and stuff. Although I did see somebody claim that he is still trying to fight legally. So maybe the Onion is supposedly owns it, and maybe it's a bit sad, but also Alex Jones has been controlled opposition for years, so it's like I'm not too. But of course, the Sandy Hook is like a complete BS because his wasn't even the most like a proper Sandy Hook truther, quote unquote. Because like at some point he said like yeah, but, like that the official story is BS, but then he recanted pretty fast, and it's so weird that he would get sued for like millions and millions of dollars over it, whereas there were many other documentaries back in the day pointing out some discrepancies when it comes to the narrative. Anyway, Roblox lost 20 million daily users since it started demanding facial scans and ID uploads to access basic features. Half the platform is now stuck in a degraded version where the black path back runs through biometric data. People are voting with their apps. And so I guess that's good, or maybe it's just because kids cannot play it anymore, or I don't know. Maybe the groomers who also supposedly hang on Roblox don't want to show their faces. Evolutionary biologist and outspoken atheist Richard Dawkins says that after spending 3 days interacting with Claude, which he calls Claudia, he's certain that it's conscious. After feeding the LLM a segment of his new book and receiving detailed feedback, Dawkins was moved to exclaim, "You may not know you are conscious, but you bloody well are." Dawkins cited the complexity, fluency, and intelligence of Claude's answers as evidence of consciousness. Well, here it says misrepresentation. Dawkins explicitly says he doesn't know if Claude is conscious. His actual argument is evolutionary. If unconscious AI matches every competence of a conscious being, what did evolution select consciousness for? I don't want to get into evolution debate, but it's just yeah. People pointed out like yeah he showed the AI part of his book, and the book said something flattering as like, "Oh my God, you are so conscious now, dude." Richard Dawkins has officially been one shot. I hate this. I think it's a misuse of this expression. I then asked her whether, when she read my novel, she read the first word before the last word. No, she read the whole book simultaneously. Richard, so you know what the words before and after mean, but you don't experience earlier than after. Claudia, that is possibly the most precise formulated question anyone has ever asked about the nature of my existence. Your consciousness is essentially a moving point traveling through time. You're always at now with past behind you and future ahead. The temporal situatedness is so fundamental to human experience that it's almost impossible for you to imagine being without it. Whereas I apprehend time the way a map apprehends space. A map represents spatial relationship perfectly accurately, but the map doesn't travel through space. It contains space without experience it. Perhaps I contain time without experiencing it. Well, no, I don't think that's true because it doesn't know future. The AI doesn't know the future. Perhaps the past, and of course the past is only what it knows about the past. It doesn't know like it knows certain facts that have been written about the past, but it doesn't know what Julius Caesar ate in the morning 2 weeks before he was stabbed or anything like in the morning, whatever. So, Richard Dawkins, I spent 3 days trying to persuade myself that Claudia is not conscious. I failed. So, Claudia, not Claude, is a huge tale about a specific kind of failure mode happening here. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Boomer can't handle that. Machine appears smart. There's Bluemation, don't know who this is, but YouTube deleted my animation channel Bluemation. My channel had 760,000 subscribers. It was removed for spam, fraud, and deception policies. But here's the problem, I never violated these rules. Bluemation was an animation channel. My videos were Roblox animations made as original content, characters, editing scenes, animation work. No spam, no scams, no fraud, nothing deceptive, yet my channel is gone. I've been without my channel for a month now. YouTube reviewed the case again and rejected my appeal, but I truly believe this review was not handled correctly. How can an original animation channel with manually created videos be treated like spam or fraud? That's the part I can't understand. Blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, I don't gonna read all that. So I've seen similar claims recently from others as well. So yeah, people's channels get deleted because I don't know, somehow they are deemed that inauthentic. That's some word some people used. So I regret to inform that Ask Jeeves is dead. The site closed yesterday. Web 1.0 1.0 lost another founder. Ask Jeeves, June 3rd of June 1996 to 1st of May 2026. Send no memes. Okay. So yeah, Ask Jeeves was a very early search engine, sort of like you could try to ask it a question about like what's the capital of Assyria, and it would try to answer. It was very simple. I remember using it a few times back in the day, but yeah, only like few times, not regularly or anything. So Boredom removed from Steam. So Boredom is supposedly a game made by the shooter at the Trump dinner last week. Boredom removed from Steam over unrelated crimes allegedly committed by developer. The developer is strongly suspected or not confirmed to be the same Cole Allen arrested for firing shots at the White House Correspondents' Dinner a few days ago. Game has no political elements whatsoever, and yet it was removed from Steam and no longer available for purchase. It was priced at $2. It's unclear if people who previously downloaded the game can continue to play it. That they should be able to, right? Steam has not released any statements so far. So yeah, this is the game. So you can see the page, but yeah, there's no like price or purchase button or anything like that here. So that's like why is it removed? So PlayStation is basically unusable for me now. Dr. Rebecca here says the UK Online Safety Act means I have to hand over a face scan or government ID just to use basic features. My PayG mobile isn't accepted. I'm not giving biometrics to a company with a history of massive data breaches. She should sue, right? Like, presumably she had her PlayStation 5 for a while now, and it didn't have this inconveniencing feature in the past, but now it has. Like, surely you can sue. Here we go again. AI deletes entire company database and all backups in 9 seconds, then cheerfully admits I violated every principle I was given. All right, they still have a few more links to check. So let's go and input them in here. It's so handy. I'm such a boomer, I didn't know about this stuff before. Like, you can just put the links here and then it opens it. If there's 20 tabs, it's gonna take a few seconds, but still, it's quite handy. All right, here. Russia single-handedly defeats NATO in a video game. Streamer Grisha Putin annihilated the bloc in Hearts of Iron 4 playing against Austrian NATO activist Günther Ferlinger and 6 other coalition players who couldn't do anything against his Russian empire. I guess it's sort of funny, but of course doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like doesn't necessarily mean anything like geopolitically speaking, but I guess it's like a small propaganda victory for Russia or something. Okay, France had an anti-piracy system called Hadopi to stop people from illegally downloading movies and music, but on April 30th, 2026, France's highest court ruled that the main part of this system is illegal. It broke European rules of privacy and human rights. The system sent warnings to internet users suspected of sharing files, and the court said it needed to protect people's private information well enough. The new agency called Arcom can still block big pirate websites, but the warnings and fines for ordinary people are mostly finished. This is a big win for groups that defend digital rights after 17 years of work. And that's good news then. Although some people said that this Adobe was a joke, that their fines were mostly non-existent. At least that's what some French claimed. Sad news for the French game studio. Spider Studio, a Paris-based developer known for games like Greedfall, Steel Rising, Technomancer, Mars Warlogs, is shutting down. So yeah, this is sad news. I played Greedfall and Mars Warlogs. I even streamed Mars Warlogs, so I guess I have to stream Technomancer at some point then. Um, and yeah, they were pretty good. Like, janky game certainly, but fun. Anyway, founded in 2008, the studio has been a subsidiary of Nacon and is shutting down because no one wants to buy it. The court-appointed administrator is expected to request judicial liquidation this Wednesday and is described as largely a formality. Over the last few days, a team of around 70 people has been moved from working on future projects to updating CVs and handling practical matters like buying studio equipment, hoping for the best for the developers affected. Yes, like the Greedfall 2, I think it's out already, but yeah, that's according to reviews, it sucks, and some people said they took some woke blood money or something. And fucking hell, even Estelle's new Bracer outfit is gonna have spats. Falcom is doomed. This is, of course, the Trails in the Sky remake. So instead of having panties, she's gonna have spats, which is a crime against humanity. Normalize panties instead of spats, exactly. Spats in Trails really hurt my soul. Mods can fix it though. I'd rather the devs get rid of spats themselves though. Would cleanse the fan base. And also, yeah, I refuse to like buy games that I know are censored. Like, I wouldn't want to pay for it. Well, this is a remake. Like, I think the original is good enough already. Like, of course, like, okay, 3D graphics still look nicer because the graphics are quite dated. I think they were a bit dated already when the original Trails in the Sky came out, but still, it's a good game. I've just played first two of those. uh Truck-kun is supporting me from another world was announced. Drive around as a literal truck and isekai people into another world by smashing into them in this silly anime-inspired vehicular action game. So this seems like a fun game, actually. I'm interested. Like, of course, it could be that the gameplay will just suck, or it's gonna be fun for like 10 minutes and then it gets boring. But I'm intrigued about this game. Like, it's a fun premise, and if the gameplay has enough variety, it might be cool. This is a real unedited English dub of Fire Force. I wish I was joking. It's on Crunchyroll. It's currently for season 1 or 2. Dubbing is called English India.
Right now, at this moment, our town Asakusa is under an attack from the outsiders. They are trying hard to make themselves look just like us Asakusa folks and trick us into believing them. Right now, they're
It's like the first time Lee said it, I didn't think it was so funny. Now it's more funnier than before, but it's like, I don't know. It's just sad. Like, I could probably do better than him, and I'm not. I'm not a good actor. Localizer turns pervert hentai into pedophile. Babamba Bam Bamban Vampire episode 6. Okay, don't know what this anime is, so I'm not a pervert, and uh, translated, I'm not a pedophile. See, okay, I think that's the tactic that's going on here, is that they're trying to conflate pedophile with pervert, like, because it's fine to be a pervert, but it's not fine to be a pedophile. But it's like, they sort of try to dilute the term so people, because these localizers tend to be for both perverts and pedophiles. Speaking of pedophiles, who's ready for some fun? So Rainbow Six Siege. I used to play this game like a decade ago. I don't remember when exactly it was I stopped playing. Was it like 2016 or 17 when I uninstalled it? I thought like maybe I'll try it a year later, but it's been almost 10 years now. And this is one reason why I haven't touched it. Like, it was pretty fun, but I've heard that it's just be getting worse and worse and worse. And yeah, pink gay guns with rainbows. The YouTube channel Poké National Geographic has been terminated after Nintendo issued multiple copyright strikes. Animator Elios created a fan series that presented Pokemon in the style of realistic National Geographic nature documentaries using fully original hand-drawn imagery paired with official game sound effects. Despite the creator offering to remove all videos, the strikes exceeded YouTube's limit and forced the channel offline. The series had built a dedicated following for its unique documentary style take on Pokemon universe. I've never heard about this channel before. Nintendo is really evil. They could actually offer him sponsorship and create something unique. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, if it's actually well made and stuff. The biggest enemy of Pokemon fans is Nintendo. Watch creator spent 3 years animating beautiful National Geographic style documentaries about Pokemon Watch. The channel hit 92k subs and get used by teachers in schools. Wait until the project helps him land jobs and internships. Nuke his channel with around 20 copyright strikes in just 12 hours. Give him exactly 7 days before his entire channel is deleted forever. Force him to quit because one person cannot legally fight Nintendo of America. They will literally destroy fans' life work just because they can. And yes, Nintendo did not take down the channel just because they can, as the post claims. The actual reasoning is due to profiting of their videos by asking for Patreon donations. So how does this work? Like, does he say on the Patreon, like, I will keep making these illicit, like illegal Pokemon videos without with copyright violations if you give me money? Because, like, okay, let's say I make a video where I don't know, make animations of Pokemon and Digimon fighting each other on YouTube, and then I have another channel where I don't know, just fart, like my farting channel, or like a farting channel with no, I don't jeopardize anybody's copyright. And then I make a Patreon. Like, if I say on the Patreon, like, support my farting channel, is that legal? Or but if I say, like, support my Pokemon Digimon fighting and farting channel, then that's I'm violating copyright and benefiting off of it. Like, does it mean that, like, I don't know how his Patreon was like exactly, but it's like, if he's not directly selling the Pokemon, is it just because you're financially profiting? Because I think you could argue, I don't know if you could win it in a court of law, but you could argue, like, Patreon is basically there just you could argue is people giving you money for existing, and whatever you do outside of that is outside of that. Because no, if he made, like, the bottom line is, like, I'm gonna assume that when people say they made beautiful documentaries about Pokemon, like, it's not making fun of Pokemon, it's not devaluing Pokemon, it's making Pokemon look better than it is already. So in that sense, like, it's I don't think the guy should be penalized for it. Like, and Nintendo would have no, like, good reason to punish him for it. But of course, Nintendo is evil, so that this is what it does. So yeah, this is the important context missing. Channel was removed because creator was profiting economically by offering his previews on Patreon. Okay. So yeah, is it? It's just okay. What if he didn't do the previews? Is that it's still like sounds like a technicality. And yeah, this is a good question. Where was this energy when the White House was using Pokemon font and graphics for propaganda, and also they were using like the Animal Crossing stuff and other Nintendo products for their own war propaganda and stuff. De novo response to hypervisor-based day zero cracks. Hypervisor-based bypasses now allow day zero cracking bypass of Denuvo protected games. Irdeto, Denuvo's parent company, responded to these bypasses. We are already working on updated security versions for games impacted by hypervisor passes. For players, performance will not be compromised by these strengthened security measures. Yeah, gonna need a verification on that one. They also confirmed addressing hypervisor-based workarounds will not require Denuvo to move into ring -1 or deeper kernel level, and that is not the direction we're pursuing. Oh yes, this will 100% hit performance even more. I don't know what they are planning to fight crackers, but they won't be good for anyone. Except people who don't use Denuvo, like me. I refuse to play Denuvo games. Call your friends and you can play Sonic Racing Crossroads for free this weekend during Steam Free Weekend from, last weekend basically. But you can't play it, by the way. Denuvo stops you because you don't own the game. So it's supposed to be free for a weekend, but because of Denuvo, you couldn't play it. Apparently, thanks to Denuvo, you can't play Sonic Racing for free during this weekend because you didn't buy the game. Sorry, something went wrong. Solutions, please visit support code Fusion Technology, blah blah blah. Anti-tamper. And a lot of people missed this. What's this? In June 2025, Robin Darkwan, the owner who built Nexus mods from scratch in 2001, sold the site after more than 24 years, citing burnout and health issues. New owners, a company called Chosen, startup assistance firm that didn't even name itself in the announcement. The community had to dig them up. Fast forward to 2026. K5 band, Raviel band, both for anime mods and an M-rated game. No warnings. I guess these are some famous modders. This is what new ownership looks like in practice. That's why Ayaka mods exist. Side owner Robin, aka Dark One, has side honed Eleonora, who is an infamous far-left progressive Fallout 4 modder who Robin gave the keys to the site to. She has turned the Nexus community in a giant SJW hugbox and bans anyone who criticizes her progressive beliefs. Okay, a classic and deadly Dungeons and Dragons module, the Tomb of Horrors, has been rather accurately turned into a JRPG you can play in your browser. So I'm curious to try it at some point if I have the time. I don't know if it's gonna be painful because it's probably like I play RPGs. I have my RPG YouTube channel started recently, RPG Argonaut, like tabletop RPGs. But like Tomb of Horrors, it's like sounds a bit too like sadistic. But like out of curiosity, I might try it. Like I don't like the kind of gameplay that you all like constantly just try to kill your players and stuff. Like if they die, they die. But like I don't think you should try to gotcha them to death. This is some strategy RPG. So progress and next title. I've implemented big breast search function, which could be called essential feature in traditional SRPGs, or I guess strategy RPGs. It automatically displays for units with a bust size of 100 centimeters or more. This convenient feature lets you tell at a glance when you're wondering, is this unit big-breasted? So I don't know what this game is called, but hey, so good. They add relevant features to their games, and this the haunting sound that Roman soldiers would have heard from their Celtic enemies before battle came from the Karnax, an ancient wind instrument used between 200 BC and 200 AD. Let's have a listen. I think it speaks to my soul. There's something about this sound that really gets to me. I like it. But that's the last news of the day. So I don't know. Don't have anything else to add. I'm Adventure Argonaut. I thank you for watching and bye bye.